Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of our attendees here online. Thank you for joining us for this IEEE HAC webinar on today, September 15th. So IEEE HAC, what is that? IEEE HAC is the Humanitarian Activities Committee. The Humanitarian Activities Committee provides a suite of resources that inspires and enables IEEE volunteers like you around the world to carry out and support both sustainable development and humanitarian technology activities at a local level. So HAC focuses on raising awareness, providing training, supporting and evaluating projects, and cultivating relationships with the global sustainable development community. Now, another program and committee that is closely related with HAC as its subcommittee is the IEEE SITE program, or Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Activities, Technology, sorry. That's a popular feet on the ground initiative that operates within HAC, as I mentioned. And SITE is a global network of individuals. A majority of them are either university students or graduate students or young professionals. And these individuals partner with underserved communities and local organizations to implement group projects that utilize technology to tackle a key challenge in their community. So for more information and how you can get involved, I'll put some links for you in our chat section, both to the HAC website and the SITE website if you'd like more information. And as you can see on our screen today, we have a speaker who is the founder of the IEEE SITE Germany section group, Dr. Christoph Baer. Dr. Baer received his diploma in engineering and his doctorate in engineering degrees in electrical engineering from the Ruhr University in Bochum, Germany, forgive my pronunciation, in 2009 and 2015, respectively. So he's been an RF research engineer with the Krohn Group, and he's also a postdoctoral research at the Ruhr University. Now, since 2016, he's been an academic counselor with the Institute of Electronic Circuits, also at Ruhr University. He has authored or co-authored more than 100 scientific papers and holds several patents. And his current fields of research concern radar systems, humanitarian demining sensors, antenna design, and material characterization and synthesis. He holds several lecturals and practical courses at Ruhr University, and he is the coordinator of a bachelor double degree program with the Universidad Nacional de Colombia in Bogotá. Dr. Baer is the vice chair currently of the IEEE Germany section, both this year into 2022, and he's the founder of the IEEE Germany section site, as I mentioned. So he has a wonderful position and perspective and, of course, experience to tell us all about a project that was deployed by the SITE Germany section group, and that's what we'll hear from him about today. So thank you so much, Dr. Baer, for joining us, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Well, thank you, Juliana, for the kind introduction. And well, also from my side, well, starting here, good afternoon, and then good morning to the US, good morning to Colombia. I see in the attendee list people from Colombia online as well. And also maybe good evening. And I'm happy to be here today to talk about our project, the Clochard Alert. And as this is an HAC webinar organized from the education subcommittee, the idea is to deliver some information about how a project, maybe funded by SITE, can be brought, well, from a student project, from our, like in our case, to industrialization, well, to make it a real product. And so the title of my talk is the Clochard Alert, an alert system from the homeless, from student projects to industrialization. And before we come right into the topic, let's have a short look at the outline of the talk. In the beginning, I will give a very brief introduction about the IEEE SITE Germany section, and then we'd head over to the Clochard Alert. I will give you some background information, and we'll talk about the concept. Then we'll talk a little bit about the lecture-based development of this alert system, because this is quite special. We can have a look at the test phase of the first alarm system we built up, and then have a look in the industrialization process on how to bring such a product, let's say, from university, from a small group to the market. And finally, I will give, well, some insights about the future marketing concept and also the future development of what we have here. In the end, of the very, very end, I will give a short conclusion and some, well, final thoughts about this. Okay, let's start with the IEEE side Germany section. Um, yeah, well, how did it all begin? Well, in 2015, 2016, we were working here at University in Bochum on a humanitarian project on landmine detection in Colombia, and we thought that this would be a good idea to involve more and more students. And I found the site program from IEEE, and we decided to, well, to build up a site Germany section. And well, we got approved in November 2017, and the proposal that is necessary was signed by 12 petitioners. Currently, we have 15 active members, but way more are members themselves. About 15 people come together every month to discuss those things. Our headquarters is located at, well, my university, the Ruhr University in Bochum. And as Juliana already said, I have been the first chair of the site Germany section. And this year, while I switched to be vice chair of IEEE Germany section, I handed over, well, the site chair to my colleague Berg Hattenhorst, who is in the left side here of this picture. And well, in the beginning we made some some thoughts about what a Germany section from site could do, and having a closer look at this organization diagram shows, well, in the center there's an activities group that with a monthly meeting that plan everything. This is led by the executive committee with Birk and Pierre. And also we involve a lot of students, so Lorna and Nikolai are the current student chairs. Well, we then have our national activities, international activities for projects and public relations. And basically what I would like to talk about today is a project that would be, well, a national activity with established technology. Yeah, well, background for this is the following. I have some statistics here, but because the homelessness is a worldwide challenge, and if you have, well, the look at the other Europe, as the diagram says, in Europe there is quite a big challenge with homeless people. This statistic is from the year 2016, where the refugee crisis from Syria went to its peak level, and you see that Germany had in 2016 860,000 homeless people. Compared to the United States in 2020, they had 580,000. So Germany by 2016 had 100,000 homeless people more than the US, although we have way less people living here. Anyway, exact statistics are quite difficult to evaluate because the homeless people won't say, hey, here, count me. It's just all guesses, but you can see all over Europe, homelessness is a big problem because we have also so many refugees. Of course, there is assistance to homeless people, and this is very, very often given through voluntary associations, but also through welfare offices driven by the government. Anyway, having a closer look to Germany, you see the development from 1995, where well, the homeless people, the number of homeless people shrank to the year 2007, 2008, and then rised again. And then in 2016, when we headed to the refugee crisis here, we make a big step in homeless people again. Yeah, well, homeless people, well, people on the street is one thing, but there is another thing that is very, very bad, and this is offenses against the homeless. So in 2017, I found a statistic that we counted more than 1,500 offenses against homeless. Of course, the amount of the unrecorded and minor cases is way higher and is not considered in that statistic. And well, the most common offense is theft against the homeless people. For example, if you see those poor guys sitting on the street, sleeping, and somebody just goes by and takes one of those bags. And yeah, so we in the site group, we realized that this is a real humanitarian problem right in front of our door. And we said, okay, let's learn more about this. And in the beginning of 2020, in January 2020, and this is when the picture was taken, and Corona did not hit us yet, because you see we are close together everywhere, everyone. Well, we looked for a collaboration with a honoring association. It's called Unsichtbar. Unsichtbar is a German word for invisible. And we invited them to one of our meetings. And Unsichtbar told us that, yeah, how they work and what they do. First of all, when the name invisible, where they say from themselves, they give help to the invisible of our society, to the poor and the homeless. And their operating area is here in the Ruhr area, the whole Ruhr area, which is the biggest urban area in Germany, third largest urban area in Europe. And what they do is 100% hands-on street work. So they go on the street every night with 4 cars, driving the whole area, and will give a warm drink to homeless people, give a sleeping bag to homeless people, and these kind of things. So they're not technical, but they're really hands-on, and they know what the problems are. And while discussing with them, we found out they have great ideas, but they would need technical support for those ideas. And again, referring to Unsichtbar, the most critical issue on the street is theft at night. And while having dinner, actually, we were thinking on an idea to build an alert system for homeless people. Yeah, and this idea was that the homeless person can secure his or her belongings with an alert wire, and when this wire is plugged into the alert system itself, everything is fine. But once it's plugged out or cut, an alarm will sound so that the person can wake up, or other people in the surrounding will get attention to it and can help. Another thing here is, well, if a homeless person carries around a tiny alarm system, we must ensure that the energy supply must be long lasting because they usually cannot switch batteries or charge it. And I said, okay, well, that's an idea, well, that's technology, that's electrical engineering. This is exactly what we want to do. And already in January 2020, we set up this timetable and said, okay, development of this device could be in our summer term in 2020, from April to September. Well, not knowing that Corona will hit us and everyone would be at home, but it worked in the end. You will see. By the end of the semester, we said, okay, let's make a prototype series, 20 pieces. We will distribute them on the streets to homeless people that Unsichtbar knows, and we'll give them for 3 months, and then we'll get some feedback in order to make the device better, to get some revision. And after this, we wanted to look for a smaller series production in order to give a more alert system on the street. The system itself got a name already in that time. It's called Clochard Alert. Those of you who speak French know that clochard is, well, a French and very romantic word for a homeless person. And, well, alert is the alert system, of course. And yes, so next step was to develop this device. And this was developed within a lecture. And, well, let me explain this. The Site Germany section's number one value is to raise awareness and to involve students, because we want to share the idea of humanitarian technology to all our engineering students. And therefore, since 2019, I'm offering the practical lecture, which is called Humanitarian Technology, which is located in our master's study plan from electrical engineering. And within this practical lecture, small groups up to 5 students work on, I wrote down here, side topics, basically humanitarian topics, and but they're mostly connected with the site team, what the site team is working on. And here we want to go for a holistic approach. So the student group has to work from understanding the problem to building a prototype. And while doing this, the students have to interact directly with all the stakeholders. They have to talk with Unsichtbar. They have to figure out how can we produce things and so on. And of course, there is a supervisor who is at least a PhD student, but even better, a postdoc, who is always reachable, and we hold several status meetings in that lecture. So we know that there is progress. And this all basically leads to what I really like is a win-win-win-win situation. So it's a humanitarian project. In the end, we're going to help somebody. Secondly, the students can test their skills they already learned in bachelor and in the master, and they can use it on a practical project. So it's something that is really useful and can be used. Thirdly, is a good soft skill training, because the students have to care about the project management. They have to communicate with the stakeholders. They have to, well, talk with public press, you will see in a minute. And finally, well, the students get credit points for their study plan. And so everyone is happy with this. And basically, this lecture is running pretty good. Yeah. Within the lecture, so there were 5 persons. On the latest slide, I have a picture from those students, and because I saw some of them are online as well, so welcome. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about the real technical realization, so the circuit. And first of all, what we need is a trigger. Of course, we do have a battery inside of the Clochard Alert, and we have an on-off switch. That's easy. Okay. But main part from the trigger is a p-channel depletion MOSFET. So well, this is self-conducting when the gate is on ground, and so when well, has ground potential, we will deliver the battery voltage directly to the alert. What we do then is we have a connection between the supply voltage and the gate with the alert wire. So, and once this plug is put into the jack here, we have battery potential in the gate of the MOSFET, and which makes it non-conducting. So once the plug is put in here and the wire is fine, we have this potential here, and the system is not operating. But when you put it out or you cut the wire, we will have ground potential at the gate, because this well, this resistor is a pull down resistor and will bring ground potential to the gate. And of course, we have a quiescent current in here, which will suck a lot of energy from the battery. Of course, if you design the resistor in a very high value, the quiescent current is very low, and the operation time gets longer. However, you have to check for the transient behavior between the gate capacitance and this resistor, because the time constant, if it gets too big, well, it might take some seconds or minutes that the alert goes on. But for this, some calculations. So for the quiescent current, our battery voltage in the beginning was 6 volt, and when using a mega ohm resistor for this alert resistor for the pull down, we have a current of 6 microamps, which is quite low. And the switching time for this special type of the MOSFET, it has an input capacitance of 37 picofarad. We reached a time constant of 37 microseconds, which is absolutely fine for triggering an alert. Well, secondly, what I'd like to introduce is the alarm itself. This circuit basically was found and designed from the students themselves. Well, when talking about alert systems, you have to talk about the actual sound that comes out. And the students decided to have a siren-like sound. So basically, a siren is something that switches between 2 frequencies. So, and how to do this? Well, the students choose well, the coupling of 2 NE 555 timers. You know, this is a very, very prominent component. It has been flown to space already, and it's very old, but it can be used these days as well. And the basic design are 2 astable multivibrators. So the multivibrator on the left modulates the output signal from the multivibrator on the right. And basically, I highlighted some components in here. And for the green capacitance, it's basically the switching frequency where the alarm system switches from one tone to the other tone. The red capacitor dictates of the center frequency of the whole oscillator, while the blue resistor gives us the sideband modulation frequency, basically what goes up and down from the center frequency. Okay, and secondly, in here is well, the output. Here we are using, first of all, a Class B amplifier for enhancing the sound level, and the piezo buzzer. That's a very special type. Basically, when we were discussing this, I asked the manufacturer, and we got 50 of those piezo buzzers for free, because I said it's a great work you're doing there. And well, it's an SMD device, And what we basically do is we're using those two peaks here in the transfer function diagram. So at 4.2 kilohertz and 3.2 kilohertz, roughly. So at this point, I would like to show you the sound, but when testing it before, we found out that I cannot transfer my sound to you, but Juliana will do that for me. So Juliana, if you could take over that slide, that would be awesome.
I can do that. And coming right up. All right, everyone can see my slide deck, my screen?
Yes.
All right, we'll give this a shot.
So I can hear the sound, and it's a real siren sound. You really can hear that it switches from one to another frequency, which is something everyone's familiar. It's if the modulation is more sign-like, it's like a police siren, but it's for me it was great to hear it the first time, and yeah, that was great. That was great. The students built that up, and yeah, so what I have on the slide here, you see, well, operating current consumption is 3 milliamps, which is not too much. John, should I take over the slides again then?
Sure.
Great. Okay, here we go. Let me put this, okay. And yeah, a little bit more about the realization. Well, for housing, we said it must be very, very robust because it has to survive on the street. And therefore, the whole circuit was designed on a PCB using 0603 SMD components. It was brought to an aluminum cylinder of a length of 9 centimeters and a diameter of 3 centimeters, which is very, very handy. We have waterproof caps in there, and because the piezo buzzer, which is located here, is inside of the housing, we had a sound hole in there. However, when operating it outside of the housing and inside the housing, you really heard that the damping of the sound is quite high because of the housing. Regarding the energy budget, we were using two of those small bottom cells with 3 volts and 200 milliampere hours. And the average use when saying, well, we keep it in standby 8 hours per night. And every 2 days, it will alarm for 5 minutes. You can calculate that with those tiny batteries, the operating time would be around 6 years, which was great. But of course, in reality, it would be less because people would test all the time if the battery is still working. So it might be less. But anyway, it is quite a time to full operation. But yeah, regarding cost, we wanted to build up 20 of those. That was covered by my university because they said it's a good idea and we want to contribute. And the actual idea was to let it manufactured by the student, by the site group, but we had Corona and nobody was allowed to go to university. And therefore only few people built up those 20 pieces, which was quite some work. Anyway, but we made it. And yeah, one thing to have a look at is a cost, of course. And for this prototype, well, the total cost was 15 euro per piece, which is quite a lot. And you see that, for example, the housing that has been done in our workshop at university still cost 8 euros. And but for prototype, I said that's fine. Let's build 20 of those and bring them to the street. And well, we did that and entered our test phase. Yeah, so in November last year, we met the guys from Unsichtbar, the 2 guys on the right-hand side, and you see, well, the 4 students that have been working on the project. They came to this appointment, well, to talk with Unsichtbar, and also we had the guy from the from University Press here. I'll come to a minute. And yeah, well, Unsichtbar took the Clochard Alert devices, and they told us that they would give it to well-known homeless persons in some areas all over Germany. Everywhere on the map where is an IEEE flag pointed or pinned have been they brought Clochard Alert. And well, what does well-known homeless persons mean? Of course, if you let a person test something, you want to have feedback. So you need to find back those homeless persons. So therefore, Unsichtbar was talking with other associations from those cities and said, well, please give it to people you can talk to in 3 months and ask them if what their experience have been. Yes, and then actually we had to start to wait for 3 months for the feedback of the test. And within that time, I was talking with a university, and they gave out a press release. And this is something else I really have to talk about because that was overwhelming. So we had the first press release from our university in November, and then what followed was 3 months full of press requests. Um, that's fun for a week, and then it's bothering a little bit. Therefore, I involved also the students who have been working on this device, and they also had to give interviews and so on. So there have been reports in newspapers all over Germany and in radio broadcasts and also in super regional TV shows. And I'd like to show some of those reports we had. So the initial report was the one from the university. Oh, by the way, all the things I will show you is in German, but I will translate it for you. This one says, students build alarm system for the homeless. The free systems protect against night theft. Then it went to, let me bring this to the side here, then you can see the whole thing. This was in a newspaper, the WAZ, which is the largest newspaper in Western Germany. And it says, against assaults, mini alarm systems to protect homeless people. Then Rainbow Press called us, Bild-Zeitung. When we had 2 interviews with Bild-Zeitung, it was interesting because they were very different. And they had a title, An Alarm System for the Poorest. The Redaktionsnetwork Germany, it's a big network for other newspapers, had news saying protection against theft. Students build mini alarm system for the homeless. Then radio broadcasts and TV showed up. WDR is local radio and television for Western Germany. It says alarm system to protect homeless people. And then some more random newspapers. This one is from Berlin. It says mini alarm system for homeless people to protect their belongings, and really a lot of online messages and online websites, news websites. This one is from jetzt.de, now.de. Says students have built an alarm system for the homeless. And well, next to all those media things, we have been newspapers, of course. First of all, newspapers. Then television. Well, this is one of my students giving an interview for the TV station. And you see, when it was on TV, it was almost Christmas time, and we have been working really with press at those in last winter. And because we got more and more public for this this project, of course, a lot of people wrote me and called me, and I have to say we got a lot of kudos, but also critics. Some homeless people officers told me that they are not accepting this alert system because it would be the wrong way. The right way would be to bring the homeless people to a new home. And with the alert system, we would just simplify life on the street, and people would stay on the street. And basically, Unsichtbar and we agreed that that's nonsense because, first of all, there are people who decide to live on the street, who do not want to have a home. And secondly, it is not done in a day to bring a person back to an apartment. So, and in the meantime, when they have to stay on the street, yes, it will simplify their life, but it will make their life safer. Next to this, we got a lot of requests from private persons that wanted to donate for this project. I got several telephone calls from social welfare offices from all the big cities in Germany that are governmentally driven. They said, we want to have alert system. We want to distribute them here as well. It's a good idea. And we got requests from different companies that offered us support. Yes, and then after 3 months, we got feedback from our street test. And well, first of all, we asked for the age and the gender of the test person. So 100% of the persons have been between 20 and 40 years, which is the main group of persons living on the street in Germany. And also from the gender, they're more male person than female persons on the streets. Then we asked a little bit about the operation and the technical things from the Clochard Alert, about the handling, the robustness, the length of the wire, and the size, which is, well, all very, very good, already designed. Solely the loudness was too quiet. And we already thought that because of this this very, very thick housing, and we already thought that we have to work on this. And this was just yeah, another indicator that we have to work on the loudness of the device. Then further questions about the usage. How often did they use them? Well, basically, at least once per week. A lot of people use them daily. And this is the one in the middle is one I really like. Every person who used the Clochard Alert said in the end that thanks to the Clochard Alert, I feel safer. And this is something we already reached with the prototype series, and this is something we can be very proud of. Yeah, then, well, during the test, my Clochard was triggered. Yeah, from 60% of the person really had an incident with Clochard Alert, so they really protected something. Yeah, one thing, two persons had a technical problem. I knew that before because they called me and I fixed it on the street. So yeah, so that was fixed. And another thing that makes me really, really proud is that 100% of the users said, I will keep using my Clochard Alert. And with this, I said, okay, that's a good initial point, but we cannot build them ourselves. If you want to make a bigger series, we cannot build them ourselves anymore because it takes too much time. And let's sit together, and this has been done in the side group. And so let's check, what do we have? Where do we want to go for? And basically for this, well, you can say bigger versions, bigger challenges. For this test version, we can say the test phase was obviously very successful. We got excellent feedback on the technical revision of the Clochard Alert, no problem. So we already were working on this by that time. And we saw that there is a big demand even from the welfare offices Germany-wide. So if we make a bigger series, there will be offices and organizations that will take those devices. However, for a series version, we will see a big challenge due to the limited resources we have here at university. They must be produced, which is the question of cost and time, definitely. And then we are in Germany, so you need approvals for everything here. So if you bring an electronic device on the market, you have to have an approval for this. You even have to show that you pay for the dumping of electronics. So, and this is quite a lot of things to consider when bringing something to the real world. And in the end, of course, sustainability is always a question. So if you make one series, people will forget Clochard Alert afterwards. We need to have something that we can produce more in future as well. And here, well, we were very lucky. We have been so much in public media because one of the requests from industry was a company called MeLiTec, and the managing director called me in my office and said, I really love this idea and I want to help you. Maybe you can come around and we can discuss a little bit about this. About the company, MeLiTec is a family-run company that manufactures usually lamps. In Germany, they have 30 employees. The headquarters is quite close to where we are located. And next to the 30 employees at the headquarters, they have production sites in Germany, Eastern Europe, and in China. And they really do a mass production of electronics and illumination devices for discounters and supermarkets. And so they're really experts in, well, in manufacturing things. Yeah, we met MeLiTec and we showed them the device, and it said, yes, that's a nice university device, but for the market, we have to make things cheaper, and we have to change some of the technical things. So first of all, making things cheaper. We need cheaper electronics. So you heard this siren sound that was switching from one frequency to another frequency. And well, this will be changed to an on and off sound. So there will be sound on and off and on and off, which saves one of the NE555 circuits. So we keep just one NE555 circuit. Well, the fat trigger is kept in this version, and then we reduced cost due to cheaper and already available components. MeLiTec said, well, if you use components that we have in our production line, things will get cheaper. Regarding the power concept, so far we had two of the bottom cells inside of the housing, which required to open the housing once the battery is empty. MeLiTec said this is not a good solution because, well, letting people touch your electronics is never a good solution. And maybe we can think about something that is chargeable. So they convinced us to use well, a small lithium-ion accumulator, which even had more capacity than those two lithium cells. However, bringing in this new accumulator, we have to think about the power concept because now we need a charging plug. Once this power storage energy storage is empty, it must be recharged. So usually you have something like a USB jack on the device, and you plug it in and it charges. However, in our case, we already had a plug for something, and so we did not want to overload everything. And then we had the idea to, well, misuse the USB standard a little bit. So for standard micro USB-B jack plug, you have, well, the power supply with 5 volts and ground. Then you have the data pins, and you have the on-the-go pin. And for us, we actually only need the power supply and for charging the battery. And then for the actual data pin, we connected our alert wire. And with this, we only have one plug for in the housing, which can be used for charging and for the alert wire. The charging itself was done by an integrated circuit you just buy out of the shelf, and it already has a pin for charging LED, so you can put the charging LED as well on it, so it looks nice. Secondly, or next thing, MeLiTec asked us was to substitute the aluminum against the hard plastic because, well, manufacturing aluminum is quite intense. For the hard plastic, you can make injection molding, and they have had very, very good ideas because they produce lamps for your garden that are outside in the weather, and so they said, well, having a waterproof IP64 certified housing is not a problem with this, and the plastic is so hard you can step on it, it won't break. Also, with the speaker, they had a very good idea to internally seal the speaker because it was waterproof. You see it in the picture here below, and then it's more to the outer world, and it would be louder. And well, that's the next point. It's a louder piezo buzzer. This now is an active element. You just put power supply on it, and it makes a sound. But only in a single frequency, and this is why we have this on-off sound now, and it's way louder than what we have before, and also waterproof. And at this point, Juliana, I would like to ask you to take over and to show that sound file again, if you could do that.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So remember, in the initial version, we had this police siren-like sound. And now for the cheap version, well, we change it basically to the sound a truck makes when it goes backwards. But, well, decide for yourself. So once you heard this sound outside, well, look out for trucks, or maybe a homeless person is attacked. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it is loud, and this one is really loud. So when they sent me the first sample, I made it. I made the sound operate in my office. I had to close my ears because it was so loud. Okay. Can you give me the right to share again? I can.
Yes, we can switch back.
Awesome. Okay, so this was about the piezo buffer, and then MeLiTec showed up and said, "Okay, guys, there is an idea. What this is a nice idea. Can we use it for normal people as well?" And this was what I also heard a lot from the feedback I got from people that wrote me because of the press release. They wanted to have one themselves, to use it on the bike tour, when they go swimming in a lake, wherever, just for well, to secure their belongings. I said, yeah, well, okay, let's think about a leisure variant. And in the ideal case, we use the same electronics, we use the same housing, and therefore we have the same production. But what we cannot use for an everyday device is a pressure switch for turning on and off. Because imagine you have an alert system and the theft comes and just turns it off and takes your belongings. So said we have to change it here. And for the leisure variant, we're using a key switch, as you see on the picture. So you can just trigger the alarm and go away with the switch, with the key, and nobody can turn off the alarm. But the rest is absolutely the same. So, and well, this is basically a good idea for marketing, but I will come to this in a minute. Well, comparing both versions, the test version and the industry version shows not a lot has been changed. So the size got a little bit larger in the industry version. The time of use is, well, still from theory, those 6 years. Sound level rose about 10 dBs to 75 dBA. And yeah, what also changed was the power management. When we had single alert wire connection and standalone batteries in the test version, we now have a multi-use micro USB connector, and we have a chargeable battery in there. Prime cost from the test version was 15 euros, and well, the industry version now, well, depending of course a little bit on how much we will produce, is around 5.5 euros. So it's almost a third of the initial price, which is something which is pretty good. At this point, well, so you see we are very, very close to a market product. And at this point, we have to give some thought about legal issues and the IEEE's point of view. So most projects that are funded by IEEE inside or HAC is a lot of projects are financially covered, and of course, a lot of projects are also technically covered. In this case, we did not get any money from IEEE, well, just some technical help from the IEEE Germany section, which is fine. So IEEE does not really have money in this, so for us, it's not a problem. However, we were talking about this on the HAC, and Holly Schneider-Brown reached out for the IEEE legal team, and they said that IEEE asked for accurate reference on its contribution because generally IEEE does not intend to give seed funding for commercial products, and this is clear because especially HAC is for humanitarian work, and nobody should earn a lot of money with things. However, they are aware that some project might lead to a product. This is not a no-go at all because some of the projects really deserve to be a product. So basically, we pushed on a little bit the discussion on this, and well, there's no final decision yet, but they want to discuss it and to have a plan in the future. And I just can say until then, communication is key. If you see that your project, your product will go more and more to a real product, well, communicate with our IEEE legal team to find a good solution. I'm pretty sure they will help you, and you will find a solution together. Okay, well, this brings me then directly to well, today, the marketing concept and future development. What we decided was to have two versions now. Well, the original Clochard Alert and the leisure variant. And well, these are offered to different customers, of course. So the end customer for the original Clochard Alert are homeless people, as we had it in the beginning. However, we will negotiate and bring the devices to welfare offices and NPOs, so something like a B2B customer, B2B business. Um, and what we will do is we will adapt the price to the customer. So for example, a governmentally driven welfare office has more money than an NPO or other honorary associations. So for those associations that do not have money, we want to give out those devices for free or for the production price. Welfare offices already offered to pay a little bit more so that we have subsidy payments in order to, well, pay for the NPOs or for the honorary associations. Distribution of the original Clochard will be done by the IEEE Site Germany section or by our university because they're very interested in supporting this as well. On the other side, we have this leisure variant where the end customer is a normal citizen, and well, the B2B customer here would be direct sale, or like MeLiTec does it already with our discounters or supermarkets. The price here will be higher, definitely, because MeLiTec has to earn a little bit money, of course. But what they will do is they will give a certain amount, like €1 per sold item, to subsidize the original Clochard Alert system. And this is also part of the marketing strategy to say, okay, look here, if you buy this alarm system, which was originally invented for homeless people, you will support well, the help for homeless people with this system. Distribution here will be done by MeLiTec and by the university. Yeah, so production will start soon, hopefully in October, and then we should have the first products or first devices on the table in November and December. And on this moment, I have to say, if you're interested in supporting this, or if you want to distribute some of the devices yourself in your country, let me know. So we can talk about everything. And once it is, we can ask, for example, IEEE for covering some money for this, for humanitarian activities, of course. But we're happy to distribute it further. This already brings me to conclusion. First of all, yeah, from lecture to product, as I said, the IEEE Site Germany section builds close collaboration to stakeholders when we do projects. And once we figured out that homelessness is a big problem here and that theft against homeless is a critical issue in whole Europe, we set up the collaboration to the Unsichtbar association and developed the idea of the Clochard Alert. And in frame of the practical course, humanitarian technology in our master studies, we developed this, or our students, I have to say, developed this alert system from scratch. They got in contact with everyone and they really learned, I'm pretty sure, a lot. And once we had the prototype, we distributed it for on-street tests, which feedback was pretty good. Already showed good performance. We had to revise some technical issues, but have been done good work here. Meanwhile, public media brought massive echo and requests, which was good because now everyone knows Clochard Alert in Germany. But it also brought our new industry collaboration, which enables us the production of a bigger series. Yeah, the future marketing concept contains the solidarity concept. And well, the aim is still that to want to spread the Clochard Alert all over Europe or maybe all over the world if we find collaboration partners in different regions. Yeah, so this is an educational talk. I like to show some take-home messages. So if you have a side project, well, always keep in mind that this project might have the potential to grow big. So don't be stuck on your very point of operation. Will think bigger. Have a thought about it. If you can make it bigger, if you can provide something to other groups. Secondly, our experience is that the involvement of students in these kind of projects leads to win-win-win or win-win-win-win-win situations. So everyone is a winner, and you can make students very happy about with this, so that they can do something very useful. Thirdly, I would say, well, like people say, do good things and talk about it. it's so important to show your efforts and achievement in the public media because people are interested in this. And the big resonance ring will bring a lot of work, but also new partners and possibilities. And finally, well, industrialization does not necessarily mean commercialization. So making a product or a device bigger in series does not directly mean you make money with it. But in any case, get in contact with IEEE if you got funded before to avoid legal issues. Yeah, and by coming to my very last two slides, and the people from the Site Germany section already have been waiting on this, I'm pretty sure, because I always show this when I talk about Site Germany. Are some final thoughts I'd like to share with you. And this is something I'm very often in confrontation with because humanitarian help and research is often very difficult because of low funding and acceptance for the people. And what people ask me very, very often is, does it really make a difference what you're doing there? And what I answer always is basically a quote from a German punk rock band. It's called The Ärzte of the Doctors. And in their song, Your Fault, they say, it is not your fault that the world is how it is, but it would be your fault if it stayed like this. And with this, I want to congratulate everyone who's working on humanitarian project because it's so, so important for our future. With this, I'm coming to an end. I would like to thank you very much for your attention. And once again, if you are interested in having Clochard Alerts and want to work with those, please write me an email so we get in contact. Thank you.
Thank you, Christoph, for that wonderful talk. This was extremely interesting and was a fabulous mix of both the technical aspects of the project of the Clochard Alert. Also, I really appreciated your discussion of involving stakeholders such as Undzichtbar, who had the context with homeless people who were able to provide that network, whereas you and your team focused more on technical skills and putting together the alert systems. And then your words of conclusion and encouragement. We appreciate that so much. Just looking at our time, I see that we do have a couple minutes left. Maybe I'll ask if there are any questions from our attendees today. You can either put them in the Q&A section or in the chat section. We'll be looking in both of those places.
So if not now, you can write me an email anytime.
So just a comment in from David from Colombia. Thank you. I never would have expected this concept to gain this amount of traction. So props to you and your team.
Thank you.
And yeah, just we can wait another 30 seconds or so. The copy of the slides from today's presentation will be shared as a PDF with everyone, not only who attended, but those who registered. And in that, you can see on this last slide, Dr. Baer has provided his contact information. And so as he was saying, if you have ideas for how to collaborate, how to work together to increase distribution, you can write to him and begin that discussion. Okay, well, I don't see any more questions at this time, so perhaps we can conclude the session.
Yes, that's great.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Christoph. This was wonderful. Looking forward to adding the recording of today's webinar to the HAC website. I know that even though people may not have been able to attend the live session, this will be continued to be referenced and viewed for the coming months and probably years, just as a great example of what a site group can do. And thank you to our attendees who are here as well. We hope that you will join us for future HAC site webinars and events. One last note, for all of you who are still online, the first ever IEEE HAC Global Summit will be taking place on November 10th this year. So please stay tuned either via email, via our newsletters, our websites, or social media. There's a couple different options for more information on how you can attend some of those events. And with that, I will conclude our session today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.